In the background, you just heard an unrehearsed rehearsal with Jimmy Rushing and Rudy Powell. This is Bill Bertenshaw inviting you to another session of Music USA, featuring this week the one and only Jimmy Rushing. And now here's a little background on Jimmy Rushing. In this era of rock and roll, Jimmy Rushing stands out as king of the blues. He was born in Oklahoma City, known the length and the breadth of the land as the great blues singing vocalist with Count Basie's band from 1936 until 1950. For his work in motion pictures such as Fun's a Poppin' with Olson and Johnson, appearing also on such television shows as Omnibus, and he's also known for his recordings such as Rushing Sings the Blues, and I know he's got a new Columbia LP album out. And here with me to interview Jimmy is Georgianne Aldrich and Betty Stearns, and now here's Georgianne with the first question for today.
Oh, welcome, Mr. Blues. Very delighted to have you here this evening.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, first question I'd like to ask you when we start out is that, you know, many people feel that the blues are an expression of sadness or melancholy. Do you feel that the blues are really limited to just this one mood?
It's according to how the individual feel, I think. We can say the blues is, some people, maybe they have he or she a love affair, and then some of the people think probably back in slavery time, so I understand. I heard, that some of the people doing the work and like they would say, they use this phrase, the sun's going to shine in my back door someday. They're meaning that someday that they won't be doing this type of work.
They're asking for hope, in other words.
That's right.
You more or less feel it's a mood.
To come, yes.
Yes.
A great future, a better future anyway.
Well, that gives me a good idea. Betty, I know you wanted to ask.
You brought up the very point I was interested in, Jimmy. The blues are an old art form, aren't they?
That's
what are the oldest ones you heard, Jimmy? Way back? Where?
Oh, I used to hear, yes, the names of them I couldn't say because right offhand it's kind of hard for me to think what really was it. I do remember a number that Mamie Smith made very popular. And that was maybe a Bessie, one of them, Smith Go Crazy Blues, in 2021.
Well, they were before that, too.
Oh, certainly.
Weren't you just a little bitty thing when you first
Yes, I used to hear my uncle play the blues.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, that was that pet uncle of yours.
Yes, I had an uncle who used to play the blues. I guess that's where I got my influence from.
Well, Jimmy, was there also, a strong church influence on your thinking musically?
Well, you take anybody that think that I would say the blues and the spiritual are very closely related, because you can take the spiritual, and the spiritual they're singing of today, I could sing the blues by it. Some of them just like the blues.
It's so similar that
very closely related.
You couldn't depart from one and yet have the same feeling of the blues.
Not hardly, because I think of one thing. Reason I say that is back to slavery time. It's like if during when they had these plantation things, or you take, say for instance, there would be, say 300 or 400 people working on this farm. And you would say 200, if it was 250, 200 would be church members maybe. And they would give vent to their feelings and doing their work was singing spiritual. The other 50, they would take the same pattern that spiritual is singing and would add their own versions of the blues to it, like one would say, I'm sorry, baby, sorry to my heart, something like that, Maybe be talking about he or she, or, some love affair, I think.
Expressing some problem in their
problem,
life.
something, and then
some wish for the future, too,
that's
a great
right.
deal.
The blues has a lot to do with one's life, one that really, really liked the blues, I think.
Jimmy, one of the lines in your songs that I love best, that when they say, if you ask him who it was that sang this song, just tell him it's little Jimmy Russian. He's been here and gone. Where did this come from, Jimmy?
Yes, well, I'll tell you about that. I think that was on the very tail end of going to Chicago. Anybody ask you what to sing this song? Tell him Jimmy Russian's been here and gone. Well, I think in composing blues, it's just like it would be like anybody that would, a composer, a lyric writer, and it's very easy to compose blues if you're in that vein, I think.
Well, you're not vain, Jimmy.
Well, I tell you, this is a real big question I have to ask you. It's something that I've been wondering about because it puzzles me. Recently, I listened to Mike Wallace, and he was interviewing Mahalia Jackson, the great gospel singer.
Wonderful.
She's a wonderful person, isn't she?
That's right.
Well, when he was talking with her, he wanted to know what was the difference between blues songs and gospel songs. And Mahalia replied that anyone who sings the blues has a broken spirit, that they're burdened, and that they sing the blues to relieve the feelings that they have. Being oppressed or worried about something and not knowing about God, they've sought a way to relieve themselves. Mike, at that point, asked Mahalia if it weren't true of spiritual songs, too. Didn't people to sing to God when they wanted to relieve themselves?
I think so, because you take some people would be the same, in the same area. I would say that the Christian people would be depressed, and the only feeling they would get is to sing the spiritual.
Yes,
I think they feel relieved the same as a person would in singing the blues.
Well, what puzzled me, though, Mahalia's answer after that was she said, yes, you get relief from spiritual songs, but you don't get relief from the blues.
Well, I would say you do.
Now I'm pulling a Mike Wallace on you.
No. Well, I say...
I look like Mike Wallace.
Well, you see, I tell you, you take a person for myself, I say. There are times that I would be depressed, and naturally, I would resort right to the blues because I love the blues. And I'd sing them till I get relieved. I guess the church people do the same thing about the spiritual.
Well, I'm with you, Jimmy. I love the blues, too.
Well, Jimmy, I know everybody's read somewhere along the line that one of the ways you write the blues is to sit down and play at the piano. So maybe after station identification, when we let these local stations take 60, you can sit down at the piano, and Mr. Powell over there on the saxophone can join in with you. How about that?
We'll try it.
Okay, you're listening to part one of Music USA. This is Bill Bertenshaw again with Part 2 of Music USA. In the background, you've just heard Jimmy Rushing on the piano and Rudy Powell on the sax. Well, now let's let Georgianne open with the first question.
Jimmy,
Yes?
you're the greatest of the blues singers. That's my opinion, and it's most everyone else's opinion, too.
Thank you.
And you know, we've all read critics and musicologists' definition of the blues, but we'd like to hear in your words how you would define the blues.
Well, it goes back to how a person feel, I think, and you take if you have to resort to music why you would sing the blues. You know, there are bluesy number 32 bar courses, like a song like "I'm in the Mood for Love," and you can play that in a blues tempo. Then you would play G Baby Ain't I Good to You. That's a 32 bar course, I'm sure. And those are called bluesy numbers, but the blues is 12 bars and 8 bars. The 8 bar blues is something like How Long? 12 bar blues would be like Going to Chicago and things like that. Then you express in those bars about your affair, or your feelings, I should say, about the girl or maybe the fella that she loves or the girl that you love. And, I mean, maybe he's gone and left you or something, you know.
Do you always stick to the format of repeating the first line twice? That seems to me that is usually done. Is there any...
I think, yes, it would be better because, I mean, you know, it's a kind of a repetition, and it tells the story better.
I see. Well, what about the rock and roll form, then? Is there any relation between that and blues as we used to know it?
Well, rock and roll isn't anything but still the blues.
Really?
That's all. It's just, you know, you get in different stages of life. Years ago, you used to call it boogie woogie. Way back in Pine Top days, it was a boogie woogie, and now they call it the rock and roll, and they still used to play guitar and things back some time ago. Guitars and juice harps and tubs and everything. It still carries a beat.
Just with a different name.
That's right.
Jimmy, I've done gospel, rock and roll, and blues, but I've also done country and western. Now, what's the similarity, do you think, between country and western and blues?
Country and western blues? Well, country blues and the western blues.
Yeah, the similarity between that and...
Well, I think the country blues are just everybody for themselves. They just jam and play loud, and maybe you can't tell what the singer's singing, and you know. But the western blues, it has to tell a story, and I think it does. Country blues, everybody's happy and gay, don't care what's happening, you know.
All right, Betty, what have you got to say?
Well, I know that Jimmy's written a lot of blues. How many have you written altogether, Jimmy?
Oh, let me see. I can't even
You name
say.
a few. Just name
Well, Going to Chicago, Sent for You Yesterday, Good Morning Blues, Jimmy's Blues, Baby Don't Tell on Me, Undecided Blues,
My
and
Jimmy, I'm going to ask you something very important and vital to me. Anyway, I want to know if you reveal a little secret to me.
what is that?
I want to know, what's your secret ambition? Musically, that is.
Oh, well, I would love to see the time come when everybody understand the blues, and because there's been so many monograms or titles given to the blues, they say rock and roll, the boogie woogie, and it all winds up the same thing. That's
you know,
what I
Jimmy,
think.
I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Good.
And you know, Jimmy, I'm with you too, because we're going to have to wrap it up here because we're running out of time. But I want to let our listeners know you'll be doing a series of Encyclopedia Jazz concerts at all major colleges, a Caribbean tour followed by a tour to Paris and Western Germany, in all the major concert halls, plus plugging your new Columbia LP release, Jimmy Rushing, Esquire. So that's it for another edition of Music USA, and this is Bill Bertenshaw reminding you that our special guest has been Jimmy Rushing, accompanied by Rudy Powell. Interviews conducted by Georgianne Aldrich and Betty Stearns. This has been a radio and TV Roundup production originated from New York City.
everything's really alright. Yes, I've been to Kansas City, girls, and everything's really alright. Said the boys jump and swing until the broad daylight. Tears